right. So again, thanks everyone for joining us today. This is the very last workshop in our special EnviroHouse Earth Month series. It's a little past Earth Month now, 1st of May, but I think it's still very relevant to some of the things we were exploring this month related to sustainability. And I have one more question to ask in a poll, and I'll just bring that up really quickly. But I'd love to know how often you already borrow things. So that's what we're going to be talking about today quite a bit, is borrowing, sharing, lending, sharing your experiences. And the more we can borrow and the less that we individually have to buy and consume, the more resources we can save, which is a really big important part of community sustainability and reducing our carbon emissions and impacts. So I'm going to leave that question up and pass it over to Tori.
Before we go to Tori, let me mention, because I didn't do this for people that might get off early, we have planned webinars through May and into June, and I am starting to plan July and August. Coming up next Saturday, we'll have Preserving Fresh Food by Freezing with Hal Ming, who's on this webinar with us. Wednesday, May 12th, we'll be doing a repeat of soil health, climate change, and how that affects you and how you affect the whole process. Native plants with the Washington Native Plant Society on May 15th, and herbs to grow and preserve, and how to use them with Jenny, who's done several with us before, on May 22nd. So hope you can join us for those. We'll be putting those links on Facebook soon, and they are on the EnviroHouse website. If Carla wants to put that in the chat, that link, and you can register there and see other webinars that have already been produced. So with that note, we'll go to Tori. And did you start recording yet?
Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. We're good to go.
Okay.
You need to get your answers up on your poll.
Yeah, I got the answers. Looks like some people borrow quite a bit, but I think we could all always borrow more.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen and it's gonna work just great, right? Yes, it will. Okay.
And I just threw some of those links in the chat. Tori, we're seeing your presentation mode right now, so we can see both the, the slides.
1 second. See, this is where I picked the wrong one last time. Okay. Sorry, guys. I think it's this. This is my first PowerPoint that I've done on Zoom. So thank you for your patience. What are you seeing now?
Now it looks great. I'm gonna turn off my camera too.
All right, thank you everybody. As I learn as I do. So perfect. Welcome to our presentation, Tacoma Tool Library. My name is Tori. I want to thank all of you guys for coming out on a Saturday to learn about the Tacoma Tool Library. I am the current chair of the Tacoma Tool Library Steering Committee. And just a few notes, I am presenting from my home and not from the Tool Library because it is currently open and tool lending is happening, and it probably would have been too loud for me to be there. So I want to apologize ahead of time if you hear my dogs in the background. We had a conversation this morning about them being quiet, but I just don't know if they're going to listen. And my second caveat is I am not a tool expert, so I can tell you a lot about the tool library. I cannot tell you how to fix your lamp, unfortunately, but I can connect you with people who can tell you how to fix your lamp. So stick around if that's what you came here for. I joined the Tacoma Tool Library first as a member back in 2016 when I moved to Tacoma and I didn't have a lawnmower. Over the years, I helped out with a few fundraising efforts and was asked to join the steering committee in 2018 as the treasurer. And I just became chair in 2020. What a great year to become chair. It was a very exciting year, to say the least. So what is a tool library? Just like a book library, except for we lend tools. We are a community project whose goal is to develop sustainable community tool lending in Tacoma that is accessible to residents regardless of income. We provide no or low cost access to shared tools and other durable goods. We encourage reuse, repair, and reduce consumption. And in addition, we try to host a safe community space for learning how to use household tools while empowering our residents to care for their homes and neighborhoods. There are tool libraries all over the world. Just this a couple months ago, I saw a presentation from a woman who started one in Australia, which was really cool. Most tool libraries tend to lend home and garden tools and are usually kind of small nonprofits. So this is just a fun little map of the tool libraries in our area. We have quite a few. There's 7 in Seattle, and then our nearest neighbors are the Vashon Island Tool Library, and there is a tool library in Federal Way. It's not on the map yet, but there are some people also trying to get one started in Renton. So we're really excited about that. Who is the Tacoma Tool Library? It's you guys. We currently have over 400 active members. We've had over 2,000 members since we opened. And we currently have over 1,700 tools available to borrow. A fun fact is that all of our tools have been donated. We have not purchased a single one of them. And we have a crew of pretty skilled volunteers who does all the maintenance on the tools and keeps them safe and in good borrowing condition. We are all volunteer run. We only have one paid part-time staff person. And I think it was mentioned before, but we recently just moved into the Tacoma main branch of the library in downtown Tacoma. Our mission is to improve the quality of life in the South Sound by providing tools, education, space, and support to cultivate self-sufficiency while reducing waste. And we try to do that through our principles of action, which are fostering a sense of community and mutual support, strengthening community resilience and self-reliance, supporting inclusivity of participation and accessibility to tools, particularly for people with less economic resources and people who aren't traditionally encouraged to use tools, prioritizing sustainability through waste prevention, reuse, repair, and repurposing, encouraging skill building and empowerment through tool use and maintenance education, and generally participating in the greater sharing economy. How can tool libraries help support healthier community systems? So this is kind of above just providing tools and tool education. We work to build community through providing access and education, which is encouraging sharing versus owning. We feel this helps foster the love of maintaining items versus a sort of throwaway disposable relationship with items. We consider that we're providing services versus selling products. We're advocating for the right to repair items in contrast to what we're seeing as sort of planned obsolescence of items. This helps to strengthen the idea of need-based consumption versus just consumerism, love of buying. And overall, we feel like this helps our community feel there's always enough to go around because we're sharing. So this feeling of ample supply in our community versus the feeling of limited supply. So are there any questions so far before I start talking about the history of Tacoma Tool Library, about what exactly a tool library is? I don't know if I can see, can I see the chat from here? I can.
I'm going to go ahead and launch a poll question too about how familiar you all are with Tacoma Tool Library. We did have one question come in, and it's regards to the tools you accept for donation. So we had one person ask if you are still not accepting gas-powered tools.
Yes, that's correct. All of our tools are hand-powered or electric, mostly due to liability issues of keeping gas tools in the buildings we've been in.
Yeah, that makes sense. So the lawnmowers that you have, is that they're all electric lawnmowers?
They're all electric lawnmowers, and we have a very lovely selection of very long extension cords also that you can check out when you check out a lawnmower. And the weed whackers are all either battery powered or electric weed whackers.
Nice. Well,
Yeah.
I'm going to just close this poll right now that I launched a minute ago and show those results. But Tori, this might be helpful knowledge for you going forward in today's presentation. Most folks have heard of Tacoma Tool Library but have not used your services yet.
Oh, interesting. That's really good to know. Cool. Well, welcome everybody. Yay. Okay, so chugging right along. The Tacoma Tool Library began in 2015 by a group of just people in Tacoma. They were assisted by Spaceworks and a nonprofit called Zero Waste Washington, which is based in Seattle, and they're actually still our fiscal sponsors. Their mission is to drive policy change for a healthy and waste-free world. And they mostly fulfill that mission through lobbying work and advocacy, but they also support community projects like this. In spring of 2016, the first shop opened in Hilltop. It was on MLK. We did an Indiegogo campaign that was a really successful fundraising effort, and we were able to begin lending tools, and we also began a series of tool workshops like knife and tool sharpening, ask a contractor, and home energy efficiency review, just to name a few of the things that were happening back in 2016. Unfortunately, as we all know about the hot Tacoma market, real estate market, we lost our lease not too long after opening. I think a bakery moved into that area, but we were really lucky and we found a great spot in the Lincoln district on 38th, where we remained from the end of 2016 until the end of 2020. And it was primarily a small retail location, but one kind of interesting thing is we had a converted shipping container in the back parking lot, and that's where all of our garden supplies were kept. So all the lawnmowers, the cement mixers, we had a wall of rakes back there, and all of the big ladders were kept in the shipping container. So that was kind of a fun reuse of use of a building. And now, as you've heard, we have moved to the second floor of the main branch of the Tacoma Public Library. They approached us in the summer of 2020 with their vision to remodel the entire second floor of the main branch in order to give smaller nonprofits space. So we were really excited about that. It was not in the cards for us to really think about moving, but coincidentally, our lease in the Lincoln district was actually up in November of 2020. So the library let us move in, even though they weren't really ready for people to come in, but it ensured that we could stay open while we were moving. And so, yeah, so we are in the downtown library. We are doing curbside lending, and you can kind of see in this second photo, but we actually have built all of our shelving onto pallets so that, because this whole building is going to be remodeled, so that the entire shelf can be picked up with a pallet jack and moved without us having to pack it all up and unpack it, with the idea being that even while the whole space is going to be remodeled, we can still be open and lending tools and have everything kind of like easy to access. So it was kind of an interesting way to build out the current space. So yes, what are we up to these days? We are doing curbside tool lending. So sounds like most of you have never been at the tool library. Pre-pandemic, we had a physical shop, and just like a library, all of our inventory was out on the shelves and it was all arranged, like a modified sort of card catalog system, but you could come into the physical space, walk around, see what you needed, grab it, be checked out, and go on your merry way. But when COVID happened, we kind of took a beat and we realized that the retail space we had in the Lincoln district was too small to safely socially distance in. I think it was literally like 12 feet wide, like a long kind of narrow space. So we said, we don't feel comfortable having people come in and out and borrowing tools. What can we do? So we changed our entire model and spent all of 2020, or actually from March of 2020 into early 2021, doing tool deliveries. So like pizza, but for chainsaws. So that was really cool, but we couldn't serve as many people as when we had a physical space open. So when we moved to the main branch, we were able to work with the city of Tacoma, and we actually got this loading only parking spot set up. The city added that. So we decided to offer curbside, because now we can be open more often and more people can come in and out and checking out tools, which is really exciting. So we're already seeing, after the first 3 months of this year, like we started curbside the end of February, and we're already back up to our pre-pandemic number of loans completed every week. So I think this is like a great solution for everybody. You can just pull up to this and our fully masked staff person will come out and bring the tools right to your car, which is very exciting. So if you're at all familiar with the downtown branch, this is actually the alley behind the library. I think it's actually Porch Street is what it's called. So our entrance and our parking spot are in the alley. And when we are open for curbside, you'll see the big banner will be out on the wall, sort of like our hello, we're open sign. We're also doing virtual open hours. Why? Again, before the pandemic, the shop was open, you would walk in, you would check out tools. There was always at least 2 volunteers and usually our staff person there. And they would ask you, what are you working on? They would give you feedback on, oh, have you tried using this tool? If you had questions, they were usually super knowledgeable and could help answer them and give you good ideas about your projects. We also had a really great time just hearing what people were working on and getting to interact with people. People would bring in their sort of before and after photos, and it was just great. Every time I volunteered during open hours, for better or worse, I left feeling like I could do any household project, right? Like people would come in and they'd be like, oh yeah, I just remodeled my bathroom. And I was like, well, how'd you do it? And they'd show me the photos and they say, I use this tool, this tool. I'm like, oh, I could do that. Probably not. I don't have a ton of actual skill, but you leave feeling like, wow, like all these people in my community are doing this stuff by themselves. Like I can totally do it. So since we can't really do that in person, we're trying to create that space over Zoom. So every Wednesday night from 5 to 7, we have open hours. There's always a volunteer and our staff person, Jeff, is there. So you can log in, you can ask specific questions about items in the inventory that we have. I know some people will write in and say, hey, what's the diameter of this piece of it? Or does it come with this attachment, right? And Jeff, our staff person, is physically in the tool library during these open hours. So he can run and grab the tool and, you know, show it to you on the camera. So that's every Wednesday. It's open to everybody. And also, if you don't have questions about the tool library, but you just want to drop in and say, look at this awesome thing I did during the pandemic, because so many people are doing amazing home improvement stuff during the pandemic, please do. We love hearing those stories and like getting to know people. If you haven't become a member and you want to ask some questions about doing it, this is also a really good time. Someone can share their screen and walk you through step by step, like how you join online. So there's just a lot of resources every Wednesday in this spot, which leads me to how to join the tool library. Again, right now it's primarily joining online. Everything is on our website. You have to be over 18 just because of liability issues. Once you're a member, you have access to all the tools in our inventory, and also we'll be able to participate in workshops when we get those going again. And we want to stress too that membership is a suggested donation only. No one has ever been turned away for lack of funds. We do not do income verification or anything like that. It's all just suggested. And because of our fiscal sponsor, Zero Waste Washington, all donations are 100% tax deductible. You can also, if joining online is not your thing, you can call the shop and Jeff can actually sign you up over the phone too. So that's another option. So types of tools you can borrow. There's quite a few. These are just a few screenshots of what our actual inventory looks like. So if you go to our website and search our inventory, this is exactly what you're going to see. We've done a lot of work during 2020 to try to make sure, I mean, every single item in our inventory has a photo, and we're trying to work on, you know, making sure all the names are correct, just really trying to make sure that the online inventory is as detailed as possible, because we are in this virtual environment. So you can go online, you can sort through all of our different tools. You'll also note that on the side, we have all of the tools labeled by category, which is super helpful if you kind of know what you need, but you don't remember the name of it, or you're not exactly sure what it's called. That's what I did last night. I was looking for a specific weeding tool that's referred to as like grandpa's weeder. I don't think that's the official name of it. And so I just searched garden and landscaping and I typed in weeders and it popped up, and we did not have it labeled as grandpa's weeder, but it was in there. So that's a helpful little like search feature there. And again, just a few more shots of our inventory. We have a whole plumbing category, general cleanup area, And then this is just a fun one of when we moved out of the Lincoln District into the library, we used wheelbarrows to move things, which it felt very like I was breaking some library rule to push a wheelbarrow full of weed whackers like through the library. I kept expecting to get shushed, but I was not. And then this is just one quick shot of what our current space looks like right now, which is, it's organized. I know it looks like kind of chaos, but it's an organized chaos. So currently, our current curbside open hours are Wednesdays from 4 to 7, Thursdays from 4 to 6. Fridays, we have 2 different slots, 10 to 1 and 4 to 6. And then Saturdays, right now, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So that's physically when you can come pick up the items that you reserve online. And our staff is also available for phone support 1 hour prior, and our phone number is there. So basically, because the physical space is closed, everything happens online. You can search our inventory, you can make a reservation, and you can actually reserve that parking spot as well. And we'll walk through that when my presentation is done. I'll do a live reservation, and so you guys can kind of see that whole process. But I want to take a beat right now and just say, let's see, I see there's some stuff happening in chat and maybe another question. So any questions specifically?
Yeah, thanks, Tori. We did have a question about the online inventory, which you just went over, and I think maybe I think it'd be great at the end if you can walk us through the reservation system a little bit, but we can do that at the end. We also had a question about members' demographics at the Tacoma Tool Library. I know you have a map of where all the current members are that you'll share, but
yes,
I was wondering if you know more information about the membership.
We've not looked at it too much. We had all these grand plans for 2020 that just, like everybody's plans for 2020, kind of got pushed to the wayside. And one of that was sort of looking at our demographics. Most of our members, and I will share a map pretty soon, but most of our members are based in Tacoma. The membership waves have followed where our locations are, right? So when we open in Hilltop, we had a ton of people all right around that area. When we moved to the Lincoln District, we lost a bunch, like not a lot of people followed us to the Lincoln District, right? So the people that had been members in Hilltop, maybe they didn't have a car, maybe it just wasn't out of sight, out of mind, but we had a big membership drop. And then all these people from the Lincoln District joined. And I think because we were there for the longest time, it's just that membership grew and grew and grew. So we're curious to see, we've moved again, we're in downtown Tacoma. Is that going to shift our demographics at all? Are we going to lose people from the Lincoln District? Are we going to gain people back from Central Tacoma? And then also, what are downtown residents going to be wanting, right? There's a lot of condos being built. There's a lot of apartments being built. Are they going to need shovels? Are they going to need lawnmowers? No. So what are kind of the things that people are going to come in and start asking us about? So we don't do a great job of really tracking demographics, but we do know most of our members are based in Tacoma. We will say doing delivery, this is a little anecdotal, so I'm getting off this topic, but when we did tool delivery, it really did open up, like we had a lot more people from Lakewood requesting tool delivery. We had people using tools in different ways, I think because maybe people didn't have big cars and so they couldn't check out bigger tools. But now that someone was bringing it to them, they were able to do that. I feel like our ladders got checked out quite a bit more because somebody else was dealing with the transportation piece of how to get a ladder to you. So that's something we're going to keep thinking about. Right now we've stopped doing deliveries and we're doing curbside really until our county is deemed safe enough to have people back in a physical space. And once the second floor of the library remodeling is done. So it's still going to be a while before our physical space is open, but where we want to look at like, what was good about delivery? What was really good about curbside? Did we lose people from Lakewood because we're not doing delivery anymore? Just kind of see like, what were the patterns of different people joining and leaving and trying to figure out why they joined and why they left, and how can we, with our pretty modest budget and mostly volunteer staff, like what can we do to keep making sure that the tool library is accessible to everybody? Sorry, I'm just going on a tangent now, but this is probably part of why there are 7 tool libraries in Seattle, right? Like in Seattle, it's almost every neighborhood has their own tool library because you can kind of walk to it or you drive by it all the time and you see it. So like each each one is supported by that small local area. Tacoma, it's just us. So we kind of have to figure out how can we still be available to everybody. So anyways, that sort of does not really answer your question, I don't think, about demographics, but that's the answer I have.
That's super interesting. And, to think about all these different ways you can serve the community. I'm going to launch one more poll question before we get into the next section, so that we can get a sense of what your experience is with DIY projects. So if you were going to use the tool library, what kind of help would you need? What kind of tools are you looking at borrowing? So if you'd all take a second to answer that poll question, what's your DIY, do-it-yourself project experience? I feel like I fall very much into that beginner phase. I've done like the occasional thing, but as you were saying, like people who live in apartments and rent and things, we can't do as many home projects, and we definitely require a different set of tools than someone who has a lot of property and has a lot of improvement projects that they can do.
Yes.
So I'm very curious to see how the new location will change your inventory and the different services that you offer.
Yes, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I mentioned earlier that we saw a presentation by a woman in Australia who had opened her tool library, and they thought when they opened it that it would be homeowners, right? But what ended up happening was like a lot of people who lived in apartments started using it, and so they wanted camping gear, they wanted kitchen items, sort of these things. And so she was saying, like, we kind of had to shift our whole perspective of what our tool library was to meet the needs of the people who were using it, right? Like, it's fine if you so we're trying to stay flexible, right, and not be rigid about like, this is what a tool is and this is what we're going to provide. It's like, let's see what people come asking for, like, and also what people are going to donate, because that sort of helps determine what our inventory is as well. We're launching a new operations committee this year just to focus on, okay, let's take all the lessons from the last two shops that we were at and think about what this new shop will look like. But also, like, we're asking people to be on the committee who've never helped with the tool library before, because they're going to bring these new ideas in of like, what do you think a tool library is? What do you want us to provide? Like, what do you, so we're excited to kind of spend this next period of time while we're just doing curbside, the whole space is getting remodeled. We're going to try to design a new tool library that's open to what like these shifting demographics will need. So we're excited about it. It'll be really interesting to see what people say.
Yeah, and I just posted those results up there of the poll, but most of our attendees today do some DIY projects and have some basic tools and equipment. And we do have a beginner on as well.
Awesome. Yay. Cool. Thank you guys. That's great. It's so interesting to learn. Okay. I'm going to keep talking. Okay. Stretch my face. Okay. So who is the tool library? I think I've said a few times now, but we are 95% volunteer run. When we were physically open, all of these lovely faces were the people you would see usually when you came in to check out tools. The gentleman in the red hoodie is our one staff person. His name is Jeff. And ever since the pandemic, he's really the only person that people are seeing and meeting. So it's really interesting. We have a bunch of people who just joined in the last year, and like, he is all they know of the tool library. They have never met anybody else. But when we were open, the majority of the time we were open, that was staffed by volunteers. You would come in, they would know where things were, they would be able to answer your questions and generally help you out with your project. We do have a volunteer spotlight series on our website that tells you more about like where all the different volunteers came from, which is really interesting because people have come from all over and with all different levels of skill to come volunteer at the tool library, which, like myself, right? I am a novice. I have a lot of grand DIY ambitions that do not always succeed. But I've volunteered at the tool library because I really believe in the sharing economy and I really believe in lending libraries. But just one fun example is, this is like after 2 years of being a volunteer at the tool library, I was building raised beds and I kept breaking the drill bit. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And I go into the tool library And I tell the volunteer and they're like, you're not using a strong enough drill. And I was like, I didn't know there were even such things as different strengths of drills, right? And but then they gave me the right drill, and then it was super, super easy to finish my project. So if you're at all interested in volunteering with the tool library, I am living proof that you do not have to have a background in tools to do so. In fact, it's a really great way to learn about tools, to be able to be around them, talk to people who do know a lot about it. And again, like, you learn from the members coming in, like people will come in and they'll tell you how they accomplished something. And it's like, I had no idea that was even possible. So we call it we go back and forth between calling it a board and a steering committee, but we are also all volunteers. This is the current lineup. We have about 6 people, but it's 6 to 9. We're also always looking for new steering committee board members too, if that's something you would be interested in. Another fun fact is our board, as you can see, is primarily women, and it actually always has been since the tool library began. It was founded by a pretty even mix of people. So that's really exciting too. It's something people don't expect when they think about tool libraries. And this is a fun map of, as of 2019, this is where everybody who'd ever joined the tool library lives. So you can kind of see these clusters in central Tacoma and Hilltop from where we open. And then again, another cluster kind of in the Lincoln district. So it's mostly in Tacoma, but we got people in Parkland, Lakewood, even Puyallup, Fife. We have some people sort of in like the Fife Heights, which maybe they have switched over to the Federal Way Tool Library. I'm not exactly sure, but we got people all over, people in Milton. Like there's people coming from all over for the quote unquote Tacoma Tool Library. All right, and here's some fun stuff. So I tried to throw together just some examples of what people have done with tool library tools. So this main photo, obviously someone built a retaining wall. This kind of smaller photo is they built an entire brick patio. And I was actually volunteering the day that she brought her tools back. And so I got to see that she had made like a video progression of the whole thing. I mean, they leveled the area, they put into the support beams, they laid all these different layers of sand and gravel. And it was quite an, like, again, I saw her video and I was like, I could totally do that. No, I don't think necessarily I could, but I felt empowered to at least try and like figure out if I could do something like that. Another set. This first photo is someone using our scaffolding to put in new gutters. This middle one are just some gorgeous steps that somebody made that I'm very envious of. And then this next one is one of our volunteers kind of demonstrating how to use a vintage sewing machine. This picture in the foreground is Kamani, and he wanted to say that he made that bench and that baby, which I thought was kind of hilarious. He is an amazing woodworker, and he actually won an award, a woodworking award. He made this beautiful bar cart using tool library tools and won a woodworking award, which is exciting. Behind him is a before and after photo of a kitchen remodel. So before, literally they had used floor tiling for the countertops of this house when they moved in. And the tool library members completely remodeled it. New floor, they repainted the walls, they redid all of the cupboards, and they got the butcher block countertops actually from Second Use. So another Tacoma business that helped do their kitchen remodel. And then we've got, this is one of the first before and afters that was sent to us. Someone took their unfinished attic and turned it into this really lovely sort of like library oasis. Another before and after basement remodeling. We start with that Tacoma iconic, lovely wood paneling, and they completely transformed the space, right? The fireplace is different. They opened up the window. They have the drywall instead of the wood paneling, new flooring, just the whole place remodeled. And businesses are also members. So these are actually 2 pictures sent in from the Tacoma Aikido Dojo when they moved to their location on 12th Avenue. They used tool library tools to help build out that space. We have another Colt Mead, which is a Tacoma meadery. They built their bar using all of Tacoma Tool Library tools, which is kind of fun. So yes, so pre-pandemic and again post-pandemic, another big part of what we do other than tool lending is trying to do workshops. So some of the ones we've done in the past, we've done knife sharpening. We've done, I think we said Tacoma Energy helped with a home energy audit. And this one where the gentleman is wearing the blue and black flannel, that was, if I remember right, that was at the EnviroHouse in 2019. It was part of our Tacoma Tools 101 pilot that the City of Tacoma Sustainability Office had helped give us a grant for, right? That's the EnviroHouse.
That was an EnviroHouse workshop
Yes.
when we were on site.
Yes. Back when we could be on site. Yes. So one thing we noticed is when we first started talking about doing workshops, we started thinking like, oh, we're going to do some higher end carpentry, like, specialty workshops. But what we realized were people were coming in like me, and they really lacked just even basic 101, how to use tools. What are the different tools? Which tool would you use for which project knowledge, right? Like we're feeling that there's a bit of a intergenerational tool knowledge gap, right? There's people who know a lot about it, and then a big gully of people who know nothing. And then now some people are starting to get really excited about tools again. So we worked with the City of Tacoma, and we did this grant to say, let's roll it back. Let's start a Tools 101 basic intro, like come here, you can know nothing, that's fine. And we're going to just talk about drills. We're just going to show you the different saws we have, what they do, how to use them safely, and give you ideas of what projects you would use them for. And we've done that. We did that class twice. We launched it in 2019 and had, again, grand plans of doing it in 2020. And it's like both times we did it, they were reserved. All the reservations filled up immediately. Like there's, I think, a pretty high demand for people to get this basic kind of like a shop class level of education. So we're excited to get stuff like that going again once we can all be together. Some other workshops we did, we worked with the Productivity Parlor, which is a business based in downtown Tacoma. They let us bring in every sewing machine we have, which a lot of people don't think sewing machines when they think that's tool library, but we have a pretty nice selection of sewing machines. We brought them all to Productivity Parlor. They downloaded the manuals for every single one that we had, and then they walked us through how to take care of them, how to clean them, and some basic maintenance that we could do on all of our machines so that every time they get turned back in after people check them out, we kind of do some basic maintenance on them. And it was amazing because we realized like one of the sewing machines in this picture is an old workhorse, all steel sewing machine from like the 50s, I think. And it's still like, they're like, oh, that's what you want to use if you're going to sew denim. I mean, it was just like, it was amazing to see like what we had that we didn't even know we had. So all of our sewing machines got service. That was exciting. And then this other workshop was a basic home wiring workshop that we did when we were still based in the Hilltop neighborhood. That was super exciting. We also did, I don't have a great photo of it, but we did a series of workshops with the Tacoma Audubon Society where we built bird boxes. And we did one with Tacoma Housing Authority, and then we actually did another one at Alma Mater at their like patio area. And it was fun because you got to learn sort of basic carpentry skills, but then the Tacoma Audubon was there, and they were telling us about the different birds in Tacoma, why different bird houses are different sizes, right? Like how it encourages different bird populations. So it was kind of like you got to learn all sorts of things at once. And we love stuff like that. Like we love finding different partners and figuring out how we can do stuff together. So that's stuff we're trying to think about a lot this next year of what we can do and when we bring our workshop series back.
So, hey, Tori.
Yes.
The ones that we did at the EnviroHouse with Jeff and I've forgotten which other member, which was really popular, was the introduction to tools like you were talking about. But then we also included a whole section on screws, nails, fasteners, glue,
That's right.
adhesives, what kind to use for which project, and sizing, and just basic information about that a lot of people weren't familiar with.
Yeah, thank you. I'd forgotten about that. But yeah, it's like, it's one thing for us to have all of these tools, but if people don't know the basics of using them, then what use is a tool library, right? And so that's something that we're trying to think of, matching what we have with us and help making sure everybody has a skill level to use it correctly and safely. So yeah, that was a good point. I hadn't thought about that. Something else we did in the past is in partnership with our fiscal sponsor, we hosted a series of Fix-It fairs around Tacoma. A Fix-It fair is pretty much what it sounds like. You bring something broken and there are skilled fixers on hand to help you repair it. They're very fun events. You get to meet and chat with neighbors. You get to meet local contractors in the area. Kids are always welcome. There's always games and food and fun stuff like that. And it's a good way to keep things out of the waste stream. At our November 2019 Fix It Fair, we kept 140 pounds of material out of going to the dump and helped fix broken items for, I think, over 40 people. So this is another fun thing that the Tool Library is excited to do again once we're safe to do so. I know that one of the tool libraries tried to do a with mixed results of success, like a drive-through Fix-It Fair this last year. They said it was kind of hard because you have to have people register ahead of time and say what's broken, and then you have to try to match the fixer to it. But it was inventive. They tried to do it. So we're excited to get these started again in the future. And then just some numbers about the Tacoma Tool Library. So as of, actually, this is probably a little outdated because we put these slides together in the last, I think, more than a month ago, but we have about 408 active users. Our memberships are for a 1-year period. I said they're all suggested donation, but the average is usually about $40 for the year. Currently have 1,700 tools, and that's always growing as people donate stuff. And since we've been open, we've completed over 22,000 total loans. We did 1,400 in 2020, which was a little bit of a low year for us, but I'll take it. And we average about 100 checkouts a week. That was current in 2019, but we just looked at our numbers and we are getting right back up to those numbers. So we're very excited. We think that we're rebounding from the year that was 2020. And these are just some of the people that have worked with us in the past. You'll see, obviously, the EnviroHouse has been a great partner. Tacoma Green Drinks, Tacoma Hilltop Library Planning Committee, Harvest Pierce County, Tacoma Garden Club, just to name a few of the people who've worked with us. And we've been supported quite a bit by our city. The City of Tacoma Sustainability Office has been a funding partner, I think, since we began, as well as the Greater Tacoma the Greater Tacoma Community Foundation. So we definitely feel very supported by Pierce County and Tacoma in general to help support us in all the work that we do. Most of our income comes from these grants or from the membership donations. Yeah, so what's next? It's a good question. The move to the new location has opened up a lot of possibilities. Like I said, moving was nothing we had really planned, but we feel very grateful for this opportunity. The new space is at least 3, maybe 4 times the size of our last shop. So that means we can start thinking about different ways to use the space beyond being a lending library, right? Some of the things we're thinking about, like I mentioned, is how do we make sure that it's always accessible, but also now with this bigger space, do we have a DIY corner? Do we kind of have a maker space? Do we build like a real shop? We have a handful of larger tools that have been donated to us that we've never really been able to use because they're too big to lend, like they're too big to get in a car and drive home. Maybe we can create space for some of those. We're still trying to figure that out with the architects who are remodeling the space, but it's something that we're thinking about. We're trying to brainstorm different kinds of workshops, right? Like what will this new move, we feel like this new move is going to increase our membership exponentially, right? Just being a part of being in the library, more people are going to hear about us that have never heard about us before. We'll be open more often so people can just drop by and see us. So what kind of workshops do we want to do? Definitely want to do the Tools 101, but like what are members looking for? I feel like, I don't know about you guys, but everybody I know has spent the last year really getting into like gardening or fixing stuff around the house or getting into like woodworking hobbies or building stuff. Like I feel like there's been a big sort of revitalization of these like hobbies. So we might have a bunch of people show up and they're going to have these ideas for workshops that we would never thought of before. So really excited to see like what people are wanting to learn more about and what community partners kind of like what ideas other community partners want to bring to the table. We're definitely working on increasing our most popular tools. I'll tell you that the pressure washer is like a gold crown, right? It's the most borrowed tool that we have. And because of that, they get trashed, right? And so we're really trying to decide, like, can we maybe buy some? We've never really bought tools before, but maybe it's time that we specifically go out and get some really, really durable, high quality ones. So we're thinking about that. We're also trying to think about expanding the variety of tools we offer. Like, how do we define what a tool is? I was telling Kyla and Janda earlier, Vashon Island Tool Library recently had this thought, kind of like this aha moment, is that so many of the people on the island are artists, and there are art tools that are expensive and are hard to get access to. And that's something that the Vashon Tool Library could provide. And they were just like, we had never thought of art supplies, as tools, but now we've opened our mind to that. We're going to increase the inventory that we have, and we're going to get more members because they're going to have items that they want to borrow. So what are people going to want? Other tool libraries lend stuff like camping gear. They do kitchen items. Some places do kids' toys, board games. I know that in some libraries, not even tool libraries, baking tins are very popular things to lend out. So those are all things that are kind of swirling around in our idea, and we really respond to like, what are people telling us they need? What are they excited about? What do they want? What is being in downtown going to change? So these are all things that we're kind of swirling around and thinking about. And we're always trying to work on increasing the hours that we are open, because that's the hardest thing, because that's dictated by staffing and when our volunteers available. So those are all things that we are thinking about what's coming next in 2021 and 2022. But overall, we feel so grateful to have been supported this last year. Our members, our community was so flexible, switching to delivery and now switching to curbside, and everyone is still using it, and we're still really supported by our funders. So it's been a really exciting year, and we're very excited about what comes next. So I'm pretty much wrapped up. I'd like to show everybody how to make a tool reservation, but I'd also like to take a moment to see if there's any questions or comments. Excuse me.
Yeah, thanks, Tori. I'm going to launch this last poll question here because I'd like to know, those who are attending today, do you have experiences or tools or things that you could contribute or share to the Tacoma Tool Library? So I'll leave that open for a few minutes. And we have a few questions that I think are kind of related in the chat as well. Would one question come in about, are you taking donations for extra building supplies, like extra nails and bolts, these like little things that, you always have to buy in a pack of 100, but maybe you only need 5?
Yes, that's actually, thank you for bringing that up. I think Chris brought that up. Yes, we will take durable goods or stuff that comes with, like you said, like I buy a giant stack of sandpaper and I only end up using 1 or 2 pieces. Usually when we're open, we have a giant free shelf, and all of those items are there, just like they're there for members to leave or take freely, as they need. So yes, that is something that we always take donations of, and we're trying to figure out, doing curbside, how can we launch that again? So maybe putting our free shelf on like a rolling cart that can be out when we're open. So we're trying to brainstorm around that. But yes, we do take donations of those kind of durable goods for sure. And I think too, our website has the most recent list of specific items that we are looking for. Once COVID situation calms down a little bit, we'll probably go back to taking just like any donations, but right now, because of space constraints, we're sort of like trying to take really specific donations. What happens a lot in the past, and will probably start happening again, is someone will call and they'll say, I have an entire garage, right? Like my uncle's moving out of his house. Can you take everything? And we always said yes, because we work with Habitat for Humanity. They'll recycle anything that we can't use. So if something comes to us and it's broken, we'll try to fix it. If we can't fix it, they'll still take it. So we do have a good like recycling path for all of that stuff. But right now we're just trying to take really specific donations until basically the remodeling is done, so that we're not, because we're going to have to move all of our stuff around this next year. So yes, there should be a list on our website of like the stuff we are for sure looking for. And yes,
Yeah.
The butcher block counter blocks did come from second use, which is, I think you answered that. Yeah, in downtown Tacoma.
Yeah, for anyone else who missed that, second use is a great place to find salvaged materials if you're starting a building project. Great way to save money to get some things reused rather than buying them new. If you're looking for like, I don't know, like new sinks even, or like they have like furniture sometimes, and they have a list of what's in stock on their website too.
I need to I need to update our slide, but that kitchen remodel that I have in the slide, the before and after, they sent me a photo, but they got these, they were like church pews that were at second use, and they cut them in half because they were back-to-back church pews. So there was a pew on each side. They cut them in half, they sanded them, they painted them, they fixed the legs, they added an upholstered kitchen, and they added to that upholstered cushion, but they made a breakfast nook in that kitchen. So they used, again, like second use, they got the pew from it, and they got some of the other supplies, and then they used tool library tools and added this whole built-in, but I'll have to update our slide with more like before and after photos of that kitchen. But yeah, second use is amazing for getting those kind of supplies.
Yeah, I'm just sharing the results of this poll really quickly, but looks like some folks are interested in donating tools and interested in becoming members. So I think it'd be great if we could walk through the website a little bit right before we head out to show that reservation system and some of the other things that are up there, just so everyone knows where to find the information.
Perfect. There we are. Okay. Okay, so everybody can see the tool library. Can you see the website?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, Zoom does not tell me what you guys can see. All right, so this is not the main page of our website, but this is if you were to click on find tools, and this is just tacomatoolllibrary.org, that you can browse all of our inventory and make a tool reservation. And part of the reality of living in a primarily virtual environment right now, we have a lot of text to read. So I'll apologize ahead of time, but there's a ton of information in here. Most of it I covered in this meeting or in this presentation. But if there's anything that I talked too fast through, we have great how-to videos. So we have a great one. It walks you through all the steps of how to make a reservation, how to join the tool library, if you're already a member, how to easily renew your membership. So those are all amazing resources. Our staff person used to work in digital media and radio. So he has like this really lovely sort of like radio voice that he does. Anyways, they're great. So once you are a member of the tool library, you can log in, and I will just see if I can do it. Did I spell it right? Yes. Okay. So now I'm logged in, and now I can check out tools. So let's see. What do I want? Let's just go to random page 6 and see. I'm going to check out a circular saw. So I'm going to click reserve. And again, a lot of text because we're not in person to tell everybody stuff, but our tool loans are typically about a week. If you need more than a week, that's always open to you. Like, we try to be flexible with people. The only thing that we're a little unflexible at is some of the really more popular stuff. So again, the pressure washer is going to be a really tight time frame. We don't really let people extend those just because they're so popular, but you're going to start with your pickup day. Again, we are open Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays. So I am going to pick this up on Thursday, and I'm going to bring it back a week later on the 20th. Okay, and I'm going to add that item. So now it's sitting in my cart, and I'm also going to check out, let's see, what else do I want? See what's on page 9. I'm going to pick, oh, that's cool. I'm going to reserve this pruning saw. So that's been added to my cart. So I'm going to check out, make sure, yep, that's right. That's everything that I want. Perfect, perfect. And I'm just going to click submit reservation. Sweet. And this looks a little different than what you guys will see just because I'm an admin. So what I see looks a little different, but pretty much immediately, where is my thing? You're going to get a set of emails from the Tacoma Tool Library. So the first one you're going to get is that we received your reservation. So it's just saying, hey, we got this. Cool. We're working on putting it together. The second one you're going to get is when the tool reservation is ready. So if you really need a tool today, you can get it, but you need to wait for this, your tool reservation is now ready email, because that means someone has gone, physically pulled those items and kind of set them aside for you so that we know that it's there. Another option if you have bigger items, like I said, we do have that parking spot. So if you're going to get like a wheelbarrow, a ladder, and stuff that you're going to need a minute to be able to park and put it all into your car, have Jeff help you put it into your car, you can reserve the loading dock parking spot appointment also right here from the same spot of our website. And so you can say, I already made one for earlier today, so I don't think I can make another one, but you can go in, add your name, pick the exact time that you want, and they're always based on when we're open. And again, you're going to get, once you make this reservation, you're going to get another email from us saying, hey, we got it. You reserved the parking spot and it's now confirmed. So are there any questions about that? And again, I know I went through it a little bit fast. There is a whole video that will explain all of this. And we also have a curbside frequently asked questions, just in case there's something I missed. But let me open the chat and see if there's any questions about how to reserve tools.
Thanks so much, Tori. I'm going to launch this last question. So at the beginning of our workshop today, I asked how frequently you all borrow items already. And I want to know, having attended this workshop and learned a little bit about what resources are out there for borrowing tools, how likely are you to start borrowing more tools in the future or start borrowing more? So I'll leave that open. And I don't see too many questions coming in about reserving tools right now, though. If folks have questions, feel free to send those in. I know we're running just a minute over now, but we're happy to be here and we can keep answering questions. And I wanted to ask you, you were talking a little bit about, the tool library is going through this transition period right now, new space and everything. As a member or as a community member who's interested in borrowing tools and resources like this, what's the best way for us to give feedback to you all as you are going through this process?
Oh, that's great. So for right now, probably via email or our Facebook, interacting with us on our social media. Once we have this our new operations committee is going to launch in June. And so they will probably be announcing feedback opportunities as well. Also dropping in on the open hours, that every Wednesday from 5 to 7, that's a great place too, to not only ask questions, but to interact with people just like we're doing right now, right? So if you have ideas for the tool library, or if you're interested in donating tools, it's a really great place to drop in and talk to Jeff about what you have, and he can help coordinate like when a good time to bring them by is, etc. And he is really like a fount of knowledge too, just in general about the sharing economy in Tacoma and other resources, but also like he knows everything about what's inside the tool library. But that's a great question. Like, we always are open for feedback. If it's easier to do like a conversation, please come to our Zooms, or feel free to shoot us an email or message me on Facebook. I check all of our Facebook messages. We're always open to hearing like cool ideas that people have for what we can be doing.
Great. We have one more question come in, and I think this is just important to get to quickly. Kaylin wanted to know, is there a membership cost? And we talked about this a little bit, how it's a suggested donation, and your average donation received for membership is about $40. But if you could just go over that one more time, and then if there's like a price for donating, or a price per borrowing each tool or anything like that.
Oh, yeah. That's a great question. So because of liability issues, you have to be a member of the tool library in order to borrow things, but you do not have to pay to be a member, right? So it's like a weird thing to call it a member and then say, but you don't have to pay. But just because of liability, like our insurance company wants to know that you have joined the tool library, you've looked at our liability documents, you've signed them, we've seen your ID, so we know that you are who you are when you sign these documents. So you have to be a member, but we do not tie a donation with membership. We actually added so basically people give whatever they want. The average is 40. Some people, we added a suggested membership level specifically due to COVID, which was $10 for the year, because we feel like now more than ever, people need low cost access to tools to be able to fix their own items and take care of things. And again, you do not have to donate to have access. You just have to join as a member. But some people want to make even like a symbolic donation or whatever. So we want to make sure that possibility is there. So when you join online, you can join without making a donation. It's a separate a separate option. And again, we don't need income verification. We don't ever ask any of those questions. It's all like self-reported. Yeah, so you have to be a member to use stuff, but you don't have to make a donation to be a member, if that helps. And there is no pay per usage. Like once you're a member, you have access to all of our tools. We don't have any that are like special, you know, like that are, or you have to pay $50 to use it. We don't have any deposits to use tools, like nothing like that.
That's awesome. Well, thank you. And yeah, I just, for those who are still with us, just want to make that reminder that we've got lots of upcoming workshops in May. So definitely check out the EnviroHouse workshops website, that's cityofTacoma.org/workshops for that full list of upcoming workshops. And that you can always go back and watch this workshop again once it's up on YouTube in about a week or so, or you can watch any previous workshops on the City of Tacoma YouTube channel. So that's just youtube.com/City of Tacoma. And then if you go to the playlist options, you can select EnviroHouse workshops and see all of those recordings.
Awesome.
And I want to throw in also that you can see the recorded ones on the website, EnviroHouse website, where you can register. And on the YouTube, we also have a playlist for about 26 or 28 how-to videos that we've done over the last 3 or 4 years on a lot of shorter presentations on different topics. So a lot of gardening stuff on there. So check both of those out. So, and thanks again for attending.
Yeah, and thank you both for thinking of the Tacoma Tool Library and giving us an opportunity to come and share info, and for everyone to hear me talk for a very long period of time. I appreciate it.
And
it was so informative. Thank you.
We want to do another one with you, so let's think about it.
Yes, yes. And if people have ideas of what they'd like to see, please let us know.
Okay.
And yeah, hopefully it'll be more interactive and not just me talking.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to stop the recording now. Thanks everyone for joining us.